Hello, hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. We are live. And we are going to be talking about, is it okay to charge less than your competitors? Or maybe I should have called it something else. I was like, maybe I should have called it why charging less doesn't work to compete, especially if you're just starting out. A lot of people think that that's the way to go. If I look, they look around at what the competitors are charging, and they kind of set their price points at that level or a little bit less, to think, and they think, oh, that's how I'm going to get clients. That's how I'm going to stand out against the competition. But that really doesn't work. So we're going to dive into that today and what to do instead. Hello, hello. Let's see, who's that? Guess you can hear me. Hey, Dina. How's it going? Nice to see you. Yeah, if you're here with me, you can put in the chat any questions or comments, say hi. If you're here live, you can put hashtag live. And if you're here watching the replay, you can do hashtag replay. So yeah, I'm excited about this topic because I hear it all the time. It's so normal. This is what everybody does, or like, how should I charge? How should I charge for my service? So that's typically what they do. They'll do some research, they'll see what the competitors are charging, and then they'll charge a little bit less, thinking that that's how they're going to stand out. So when you're just starting a business, usually, right? That's what you do. You do market research. And then part of that is knowing how much, like what your competition is doing, which is good, right? How much they're charging, things like that. But the common question I get is, can you command a higher price point if you're new to the game? And I'm here to tell you yes. Okay. And I'm going to tell you why and why that's important. I'm just going to look at, how do I get to these comments? All right, Brandy, nice to see you. Yeah, if I can't really see your name, so awesome. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. I don't know. I'm using this new app and it kind of blocks the names of the comments for some reason. But anyway, no big deal. I'll check them every once in a while. But um, like I said, the common question I get is, can you command a higher price when you're first starting out? Okay. And we're talking about service based businesses. Okay. If you offer some service, if you're a therapist, a counselor, a consultant, an expert in something, and you help people get from one point to the next, get some sort of outcome for themselves, then this is for you. Okay. So we presuppose that selling in any service-based business is just like selling any commodity. But for professional services, they're different because each individual is different who's selling it, right? You're different. Your knowledge, your wisdom, your expertise, your experiences in life are completely different than anybody else in the world, right? And then who you want to ideally work with is also different, right? And those two things have to go together. And then your overall idea or your overall goal or vision for your business is also very different. Okay. So each service based business, in order for it to succeed, right, there's a formula, like there's a framework that needs to be followed that hasn't changed in, forever, of how to get clients finding you, calling you, and paying you. And then you have all these different things that have to fit around that frame in order for it to succeed. Okay. So if you're treating your service based business like selling any commodity, it doesn't work, right? So when it comes to fries, for example, right? Some are flavored while others are just plain salted, but they're basically the same fries. So they'll command about the same price point. Okay. And that's not the case for high ticket services, right? People who coach or mentor have different expertise, different personalities, different styles, different approaches to teaching, etc. Right. So you could very well be setting yourself up for failure if you just see yourself as one of the thousands of other businesses out there, whether it's a wellness business, a relationship business, if you're a relationship expert, or some like kind of health coach or something like that, or any type of coach or therapist, anything really, right? If you're an expert at something, and you look at it that way, you could be setting yourself up for failure if you're doing that, if you're offering some similar service to these other businesses, right? You're undervaluing the important work that you do. So appreciate the fact that you're unique and that you're different from all the rest. Um, so, working with you will also be a completely unique experience. Okay. There's always going to be something that differentiates you from the rest. And you may not be able to see it. And that's why, having a good mentor, a good coach is really great because they can pull that up and out of you. Right. And that is why you get to decide what price of your service it's going to be, right? You get to I'm not speaking very well here today. The price of your service is not like you get to decide how you price your service, but you also want to look at data, and I'm going to dive into that in a little bit deeper. But just it's not dictated by the market, okay? So before I go into how you can command a premium price, let's first talk about what happens if you do, okay? Hey, Peggy, how's it going? All right, we've got lots of cool people here today. Good to see ya. So number 1, okay, your clients automatically assume that you're good, okay? If you're charging that higher price point, right? If someone's charging like $5 an hour or something versus someone who charges, 5,000, right? Automatically, psychologically, they're like, wow, this person must be good to be charging $5,000, right? Or even like if you take a designer purse, for example, right? I mean, a purse at Target is what, $50 and a Louis Vuitton is like $5,000 or something like that, right? Or more. So, but they're both purses, right? So, like when you go buy a cup of brewed coffee for $6, you think to yourself, oh, this must be a pretty good cup of coffee that's going to get me pumped for the rest of the day. But remember that premium pricing reassures your clients that you're the best. Okay. So, most of the time, service-based entrepreneurs are there to solve some sort of serious problems in life, okay? So if I'm just looking to satisfy my hunger, I can go for a cheap burger and it wouldn't really matter that much, right? But if you need help fixing a marriage, right, to prevent divorce or, so you don't end up with a huge, having to split all the assets and paying for divorce lawyers and paying for therapy bills for the kids for years to come, right? um, that cost ratio is right. If you're charging $10,000 to save a marriage, and it ends up costing somebody that much to get divorced, right? $10,000 is a bargain to fix that marriage, right? If that person believes that you can actually do it, right? So communicating the value around it effectively so that people understand um and think that it's a bargain, right? That's just one example. Or getting back in shape postpartum, right? Then I want to go with someone who's an expert that can really get me the results that I need. So, like, I'm not gonna go bargain hunting, right? I wanna hire someone who can really help me get that result, get that outcome, okay? Even if she's expensive. So, it doesn't really, like I always say, it's not really about the price. It's never about the money. It's about the commitment level to the results, okay? So even if nobody knows you, but the prospect sees you charging more than your competition, then they're just going to assume that you're better than everyone else. Does that make sense? So whether you are or not, it's just like a psychological thing. Okay, we're going to go into number 2. I am just going to, oh, hey, Mike. Hey, Martha. Lots of people here today. Awesome. So number 2, it's going to be a lot easier to reach your income goals, right? If you're charging $3,000 versus if you're charging $30. So think about it. Even if you've only got like 2 people that you work with in the month at 5,000 a month at 5,000, right? That's already 10,000. 2 people, 5,000, you got 10,000. Instead of charging $100 an hour, which would mean that you need to work 100 hours or sell to 100 people to reach the same income, the same 10,000, right? Um, and then number 3, the third thing that happens is that clients show up coachable, decisive, and ready to take action. I was just talking to someone the other day. She was helping somebody. I think I gave this example last week too. She was helping somebody write a book and she was helping her for free, I think, right? And she said, oh, well, she didn't show up. She didn't have time because I was asking her, well, what was the result? What was the outcome that you got for this person? Because if I'm going to help, if I'm going to coach somebody, I'm going to make, they have to be able to get somebody an outcome. And so anyway, she said, well, we eventually got it, but she didn't have enough time in her schedule so she didn't show up to do the work. Right. So it took forever for her to help that person get the results. But I asked her, I said, what if you had charged her $5,000 for the same thing that you were helping her with? How much, like, do you think she would have maybe found the time in her schedule so that she could get her money's worth and quicker? She could get that return on investment quicker. And of course, she said yes, right? Because when you're selling like a $27 ebook or giving away something for free or discounting, right? Um, People could be happy with their purchase, but it's very rare that they'll actually follow through, or have that sense of urgency to follow through, and apply what they've learned, right? As much as they would if they were have invested or have that vested interest, to get that return, to show up and do the work. So yes, you're making sales, but you're making a difference in the lives of people as well, right? Because you're charging that premium. It's like backwards thinking, because a lot of people think, "Oh, I'm gouging people. I'm charging them like this big amount, and I'm ripping them off, or I'm greedy." Like there's all this, negative self-talk that comes up. But no, you're actually doing people a disservice if you're charging them less, right? Because they're not going to have the skin in the game to show up with that type of energy that they need in order to do the work to get the result that you help them with. Make sense? So, what's interesting with high ticket is that, like I said, like people make that investment, so they show up. They take you seriously, they pay attention, they do what you tell them, right? They get amazing results. So it's good for the client, but it's also really good for you because you're leaving an impact. Not only are you hitting your income goals, but you're making that impact, right? Because whatever you're helping them fix is probably going to have an impact for others around them, like whether it be their family or whatever, right? Like it's going to have this ripple effect that you're impacting not just your client, not just you, but then you're also making this impact for everybody around them as well. So you realize, right, like your work has real value, and it gets even more exciting as you watch your clients create that ripple effect of change, right? So right there, right? Like right there, that's the recipe for having a business that makes the world a better place. And that's my experience in my own business, and that is what's happening to my clients too. So if you think that charging a premium price will just hurt your audience or your market, the opposite is true, right? Because when you're undercharging and people buy from you, but they don't do the work, they don't show up, then that amount, it just like it doesn't mean anything, right? It amounts to nothing because they'll not see the outcomes that they've been dreaming of, basically. So, even though it's only maybe a $27 ebook, it's $27 that might go down the drain, right? So anyway, so what I do tell my clients, to convince them that they need to charge that premium price, because sometimes, it's really common at the beginning, right? There's resistance. And what I do to try and get over that is I try to uncover like what is preventing this person from charging that premium rate. Like what's really going on deep down? What's the root cause of that? Right? And there's usually fear. Okay? There's usually fear, uncertainty, stuff like that, but usually it's fear, right? Afraid that people won't be willing to pay, right? They might be living out of their own pocket, like thinking, and I think Peggy's here with me today. I think this was one of her things at the beginning too, was that, right? What was it? What was it, Peggy, that you said? Maybe you can put it in the comments. Oh, I know what it was. You were gonna make an offer to that one client of yours, that high ticket client who ended up becoming a client. But I remember before you got on the phone with her, you had said something like, what, maybe she doesn't have it. And I said, well, how do you know? How do you know either way? She might have $3,000 just sitting in her purse, right? But we just assume that because we don't have $3,000 in our purse right this second, that maybe they don't. But you never know, right? They might just have it there. So anyway, there's like this fear that, we've been programmed our whole lives too. Like just think of like what's your relationship with money that you've had your whole life, and that starts showing up, right? So there's usually the fear of that. And that people just aren't going to pay it, or that people will think that maybe they'll think that, oh, my service isn't that valuable and it's not worth 3K or 5K or 10K. That might be the case, or whatever, right? But that's why we work together. So we create this offer that is worth that, because if it's not, then yeah, of course, there's not going to be that confidence behind it, right? Because it's really hard to sell something at a higher price point if there's no knowing, if there's no belief, if there's no confidence around it. And what I do with my clients is I walk them through, different exercises, and we base the price on data that we uncover over the weeks to find out what the ideal client would be eager to pay, what they would think is a bargain, or we're able to then communicate the value around it so that they think it's a bargain. And it's typically between 3,000 and 10,000. Okay. Anyway, let me have a sip of my tea. So anyway, there's that worry. And then there's also worry at the beginning for my clients about what other people will think if they find out that they're charging that much, right? That people in their life will think, "Oh my God, you're crazy! Like you're just getting started and you're already charging that much." Like people might say that. The bad news is somebody is really going to say that to you, probably. Okay, when they find out. And maybe not from your family or friends, but someone on your list, it could be, right? It might be your family or friends too, but someone from your list or somewhere would question why you're charging such a high price, because they don't think that way, right? They don't think of it as I'm explaining right now. They haven't seen this live yet. So and that's okay, right? It's okay because then there's also that high probability that you'll also be hearing yeses, right? People are going to want to pay you and work with you. And the more of those yeses you get, the more money you're going to make, and the more positive impact that you're going to have, and the more confidence you're going to have. And again, it's just going to grow from there, right? So you're going to get those rejections. Okay. That's a guarantee. But guess what? You'll also have people signing up for your offer that, at this high price point. And that's what being a service-based entrepreneur is all about, right? Working with clients who need your services that you can help get that income. All right, let me take a quick check at the comments. Yes, yes, right. In speech there, yeah, exactly, Peggy. So, yeah, and this applies to like so many different areas. Like I'm talking about money here, but yeah, these limiting beliefs can be around anything. So anyway, okay, now that that's clear, that's way better for that. It's way better for everyone that you charge a premium price. Now let's talk about how you actually do that. Okay, so the first thing is to understand what it is that you're selling, because most of your competitors are selling one of two things. Okay, they're selling information or a brand. Okay, so if it's information, okay, buy my book, then follow these 10 steps to a healthier parent teenage child relationship or something. Um, but from experience that reading a book, it's probably not going to solve all your daily struggles with your teenager, right? Like you might get a little bit of insight into something, but it's probably not going to solve what's really going on, right? Or it might help for a little bit and then it's going to stop, right? So people who are curious, or people who can't find something that could truly help them, might go ahead and buy that book. But those who really who really need dire help, because they seem to have like they've seemed to have tried everything, um and nothing's worked, then those are going to be your best clients, right? And they wouldn't want any additional information, really. Maybe they have a ton of information, but they're just not knowing how it all fits together, right? And so they might invest in something out of desperation, because inside they know that, it's not really going to work, and so they'll only go into it half-heartedly, but they need to do something, right? And they just haven't found you yet, probably, right? But let me tell you that when somebody comes across your offer and you are serious in helping that person achieve the solutions, plus know exactly what to say to communicate the value around your offer effectively, they're going to buy from you, right? For one reason alone, because they understand that you're selling what they truly need. So the other thing, that people are selling out there or whatever is branding, right? So some people are selling you their like beautiful website or their professional looking videos. And if you're impressed enough, you sign up because you want to be like that person, right? You want to have what they have. You want to have a mansion. You want to have the perfect family and dozens of sports cars, right? I mean, that's marketing all over the place, right? So, okay, people are signing up like for that, or, people are signing up you know, that want to solve their problems, right? If they're doing it that way, they're not signing up to solve their problems. So we live in a time when people are just bombarded by information all day long. So, there's obviously no lack of information. So it's not lack of information, it's like let me see. It's not the lack of information that's keeping us from earning six figures a month, let's say, right? It's it's not preventing us from having a healthier lifestyle or whatever. Like there's tons of information. Like the healthier lifestyle is probably the best example, right? I mean, there's so much information out there. It's like you just need to do it, right? Or you just need to figure out what works for you. But people don't have that discipline, or they don't know, or sometimes there's so much information it's so confusing, right? So it's not about knowing the steps to something, but it's developing a mindset that you're going to do this, right? That you're going to succeed at it, that you're going to be committed. Back to what I said originally, right? So you also need someone who's going to walk you through the entire process, because that's where the real change happens. And as you go along, you're probably going to fail, or you're going to have stumbling blocks, or there's going to be like you're going to get stuck, or you're going to maybe be overwhelmed, right? So having that support or having that mentor, right? Until you get to that result, right? Until you're able to do it yourself. Okay. It's so important. So important. So that's why, again, this works, right? And that's why your clients achieve results that they want, is because they've got that support. They've got that accountability. They've got that resource to just be able to tap in and get an answer quickly to get unstuck. And when they do, they understand that the value, right, is incomparable to the amount that they had to invest into that high ticket, right, in order to enroll into your offer. So, for example, right, you help, let's go back to the marriages again. You help save dying marriages. Like, what's that worth? Right? Maybe priceless, right? But charge according, right? Like I said before, like if they don't save their marriage, they got to divide the assets. They've got to hire divorce lawyers each, right? They've got to spend all the money on therapy bills moving forward. So how much does that add up to versus, what are you going to charge, $100 an hour? You charge 10,000, that's still a bargain compared to the other results, right? So if you can help save that dying marriage, charging 10 grand for that, right? Being able to communicate the value around that effectively so that you can charge 10,000, and then that impact that you make, right? For those kids, for everybody all around, right? Amazing. So charge according to the value of what you're offering. So simply put, okay, your pricing shouldn't be based on how much your competitors are charging, right? Back to the original thing that we're talking about here, or what the market dictates, but it should be based on the value of the outcome that you deliver and what your ideal client would be eager to pay or would be willing to pay for it. Okay. And, don't also fall into the trap of charging by the hour again, because you start thinking that, the worth of your service is only equivalent to the length of your time, okay, that you'll be working with these clients either. Okay. Because I mean, that's so common, right? That way of thinking that people, they're like, I gotta charge for my time. I gotta charge for my time. It doesn't have to be that way. Okay. In reality, you've spent years and years studying, gaining the necessary knowledge and experience to be the expert that you are now. So when you look at it that way, then $50 an hour, $100 an hour, it's going to seem way too little. Does that make sense? Let's see if there's any questions or anything. Anybody have any questions? Everybody following me? Oh, my son's following me. Look at that. Hi. All right. All right. Awesome. So let's see. Yeah. So anyway, I mean, some people would ask me, should I charge 3K? Should I charge 5K, 8K for what I offer? But really, what determines your price point is your own level of confidence, your belief in your ability to attract the ideal clients at that premium price, knowing how to communicate the value effectively, and having the strategy and systems in place to attract that perfect fit prospect, right? Like your prospects are going to pick up on how you're feeling. So if you have clarity around what to say and are comfortable with selling at 5K, then they'll know that, right? But if you are doubtful, if you're doubtful that you're worth that price, then your prospect will see through it as well, and they might not be confident in buying from you. Okay, so just realize that the people who come to you are hoping that you're finally the one that's going to help them solve that problem. Okay, so if you come in with that certainty and that confidence, that yeah, that's me. Like I can help you. Then they'll actually be relieved and happy to work with you. You'll also have to learn to position yourself as that go-to expert, right? Because even though there is that competition, like there's a way to position yourself against that competition so that people will be finding you, calling you, and will want to pay to work with you when they hear how sincere and confident you are in your service. So, from what we've talked about, you can definitely charge a premium price, okay, today, okay, even if it's above what your competition are charging. Hopefully, I cleared that up today. You just have to show up with that clarity, with that certainty, have the right mindset, the right offer, and the ability to communicate the value effectively, and then the proper positioning so that that premium price will immediately make sense to your ideal client. So, if you're not clear on any of those things, if you want to learn more about all of these or any of those and how they can apply to who you are specifically, what you're doing specifically, then just type the word premium and I or someone from my team will get back to you with a DM as quickly as possible. So, I hope this has been really helpful for you. Again, I'm here every Thursday at 3 o'clock Pacific time. Let's see. Any questions? Any questions? Makes complete. At what point might the high ticket? Let's see. One of the. Oh, I lost it. Where did it go? At what point might the high ticket price need to be raised? Oh, that's a great question. So yeah, I mean, there's different times for that. So again, it really comes down to the confidence, okay? How confident you feel about your price point, right? So if you're feeling like it's too cheap, right? Like the value you're offering is just like tenfold, right? Like let's go back to the marriage counselor example again, right? It's just um like how much did two divorce lawyers cost, right? And how much would it cost to split the assets, and how much would those therapy, like, work it out, right? If it's like, $50,000 and you're only charging $3,000, that's too cheap, right? If you've got tons and tons of clients and you're running out of time, you don't have time to go deep with them, you could raise your price point at that time too, right? Because again, it's like, like you got to leverage your time. You're only one person. And if you need to go deep with your clients, right, there's that balance in between. So that'll dictate when to raise your prices, but you'll feel it. You'll feel it like, God, I'm just giving this away too cheap. I got to raise my prices. Like I didn't start at the price point I'm at. Every, I don't know, year or so, I think I've increased it. So, yeah, and I'm feeling like still like with my price point, I'm still feeling like it's a little bit too little. I mean, there's different strategies around that too. You could also have like a certain offer at a lower price point and then have a higher end mastermind kind of back end offer that would be at a higher price point as well. Just depends, right? But that's a really good question. But it's weighing out that value that your offer, and when you're feeling like, you know what, it's like I just get so much value from my clients, like you'll feel it, you'll get that confidence, and you're gonna start feeling like, okay, this is too little. or by doing that exercise, like I said, like what is it costing them they don't solve the problem, right? One of the problems, another question in my field is that typical prices are set by insurance companies, and I don't work for insurance, but the bottom, yeah, that's a good question too. I can't see your name, but yeah, that's a really good point. So uh, there's again, it goes back to how do you communicate the value effectively around what you're offering so that it sets you apart from the insurance? Like, how do you position yourself and how do you communicate that the insurance route isn't the right way? Like, that's not going to get you the results you want. By paying me to get you the results, this is going to happen much quicker and much more effectively. And it's going to be, it's going to cost you less, whether it's monetary costing less or time wise costing less, or um the effects of whatever they're suffering from. Like, let's say their child is getting bullied and it's like really affecting their self-esteem. And you help get them out of that, right? Again, that cost of waiting longer where the bullying continues, or maybe they have to change schools or move, or I mean, all these drastic things, right? There's every business is different. Again, every person is different, every business is different, every ideal client is different. So if you haven't booked a call with myself or my team, um, let's hop on a call because we've got like a free 45-minute assessment we can go through and kind of see what's working, what's not working, what's happening for you, how you could position yourself against that if there's a way. I mean, we don't know because I don't know your exact specific circumstances. I don't know your knowledge, your wisdom, your expertise, all that stuff, what you're offering, who your clients are. But based on that, like we can ask you a whole bunch of questions, kind of like a doctor would to diagnose what's really going on. And then we can put together the best strategy or point in the direction of someone we might know that can help you figure that out. But based on that question, yeah, it's about positioning yourself against the insurance companies and being able to communicate the value effectively, so much so that they're not going to want to go with the insurance. They're going to want to pay you that premium. They're going to be committed to finding the money if they don't have it, so that they can get that result that they're looking for ultimately as quickly as possible. Okay, usually a high ticket, it's either like a money or a time thing, and usually it's the time thing and the cost of it taking longer. What is it costing them for it to take longer to get that result? Make sense? So hopefully that answers your question. Um, any more questions? No, sounds good. Awesome. So yeah, I mean, even if you're here after and just watching the replay, feel free to put some questions or comments in or sorry, put some questions in the comments and we'll check back and be happy to answer that as well. But yeah, hopefully this has been helpful for you. And I mean, again, I'm here every Thursday at 3 p.m. So hopefully I'll see you again. We're either in the business growth blueprint for high ticket offers that sell, or you can catch me on YouTube on my YouTube channel. So hopefully you have a great week and I will see you next Thursday. Take care.